I just need $3,000 for Lily's surgery, and if you really loved us, you wouldn't even hesitate. My sister Amber stood in my doorway at midnight, mascara streaking down her face, holding her daughter. My niece, who looked suspiciously healthy for a child supposedly needing emergency surgery. When I asked to see the medical bills, she accused me of calling her a liar, and that's when I realized the real emergency wasn't Lily's health. It was that I'd finally started recognizing the pattern of manipulation I'd been funding for 15 years. The truth about Amber and me was written long before that night. She was the baby, born when I was 7, a miracle child after my parents' years of trying. I remember holding her for the first time, this tiny perfect thing, and promising I'd always protect her. What 7-year-old me didn't understand was that protection could become prison, that love could be weaponized, that some people learn early how to turn family bonds into chains. By the time Amber was 5, the dynamic was set. She was the golden child who could do no wrong, while I was the responsible older sister who should know better. When she broke my things, I was told to share. When she failed classes, I tutored her. When she needed money in high school, I gave her my part-time job earnings. My parents praised me for being such a good big sister, never noticing they'd raised one daughter to give and another to take. The pattern intensified after our parents died in a car accident when I was 25 and Amber was 18. I'd just started my career as a graphic designer, living in a studio apartment, barely making ends meet. But Amber needed me, and what kind of sister would I be if I didn't step up? I became her parent, therapist, bank, and safety net all at once. She moved in with me, promised to get a job, promised to contribute. Instead, she partied through community college on my dime, got pregnant at 20, and suddenly I wasn't just supporting my sister. I was supporting my sister and my niece. Family helps family, she'd say whenever I tried to establish boundaries. Mom and Dad would want you to take care of us. And she was right, wasn't she? That's what family does. That's what love looks like. Or so I told myself every time I paid her rent, bought Lily's clothes, covered their groceries, missed my own goals to fund hers. The asks escalated gradually, like a frog boiling in water. First, it was just help with utilities. Then rent for a bigger apartment because Lily needs her own room. Then a car because how else can I get to job interviews? She never went to job interviews. Then money for online classes she'd drop after the refund period passed. Then bail money when she got arrested for shoplifting. It was a misunderstanding, Jenna, I swear. Each time, there was a crisis. Each time, I was the only solution. Each time, saying no meant I was heartless, selfish, a terrible sister and aunt. Amber had perfected the art of emotional terrorism, knowing exactly which buttons to push to open my wallet. "Remember when you promised to always protect me?" she'd say, usually while Lily played in the background, an innocent pawn in her mother's chess game. I guess that only mattered when we were kids. The guilt worked every time. I'd remember 7-year-old me, holding baby Amber, filled with love and purpose. I'd transfer the money, push back my own dreams one more time, tell myself this was temporary. She just needed to get on her feet. She just needed one more chance. She just needed. But here's the thing about people who position themselves as perpetual victims. They never run out of needs. There's always another crisis, another emergency, another reason why your boundaries are actually cruelty. And there's always an audience, friends, family, even strangers, ready to judge you for not giving more. Your sister's on Facebook saying you refused to help with Lily's birthday party. My cousin texted me one afternoon. That's cold, Jenna. The birthday party Amber wanted me to fund entirely, plan entirely, and host at my apartment while she showed up as a guest. The party for which she'd already collected money from other relatives by claiming I'd left her high and dry. But explaining that would make me look petty, defensive. So I stayed quiet and wrote another check. My therapist, whom I started seeing when the stress gave me chronic migraines, called it enabling disguised as love. But she's my sister, I'd argue. And Lily's innocent in all this. Lily's also learning that manipulation gets results, she pointed out. What happens when she grows up thinking this is how relationships work. That hit harder than any accusation of selfishness. Was I really helping by being the eternal safety net? Or was I just perpetuating a cycle that would eventually swallow Lily too? The breaking point started building 2 years ago. I'd finally saved enough for a down payment on a small house, my dream after a decade of rentals. The night before I was supposed to sign papers, Amber called hysterical. She'd been evicted for non-payment, despite my giving her rent money monthly, and they had nowhere to go. We'll be homeless, Jenna. Your niece will be on the street. How can you buy a house when we don't even have an apartment? I let them move in temporarily. Temporary became 6 months. 6 months became a year. My house became their house. My space became their space. My life became an extension of Amber's chaos. She didn't work, didn't clean, didn't contribute. But she did invite people over constantly, run up my utility bills, and treat me like an annoying roommate in my own home. You're never here anyway, she'd say when I complained. Why does it matter? I wasn't there because I'd taken on freelance work to cover the extra expenses. I was killing myself to maintain a life she was casually destroying, and somehow I was still the bad guy for wanting basic respect. Then came the night of the fake medical emergency. Amber had been hinting about needing money all week, her usual build-up to a big ask. When I didn't bite, she escalated. Midnight, pounding on my bedroom door, Lily in her arms, tears and accusations ready. $3,000? I asked, trying to think clearly despite the hour. What kind of surgery? Does it matter? She's sick, Jenna. Your niece is sick and you're interrogating me. I'm just asking to see the paperwork. The diagnosis. Something. That's when her mask slipped. Just for a second, but I saw it. The calculation, the fury that I wasn't immediately complying. Then the tears ramped up. I can't believe you're calling me a liar. After everything I've been through. After losing mom and dad. After raising Lily alone. You haven't been alone, I said quietly. I've been here the whole time. Paying for everything. Oh, here we go. Saint Jenna and her money. You think you're so much better than me because you have a job? Because you didn't get pregnant young? Some of us had harder lives. Amber, you've lived rent-free for a year. I've paid for. I never asked to be born, she screamed. I never asked for mom and dad to die. I never asked to be your burden. Lily started crying then, real tears, not the performed ones her mother had mastered. And suddenly I saw it all clearly. The patterns. The manipulation. The way Amber had weaponized every tragedy, every struggle, every moment of vulnerability. The way she'd turned my love into a resource to be exploited. You're right, I said. You're not my burden. And as of tomorrow, you're not my responsibility either. The explosion was nuclear. Amber called me every name she could think of, accused me of abandoning family, of being heartless, of wanting them dead. She threatened to tell everyone what a monster I was. She threatened to never let me see Lily again. She threatened suicide. I called 911 for the suicide threat, which enraged her further. Apparently that was supposed to be another manipulation, not something I'd take seriously. When the officers left after determining she wasn't actually in danger, she packed Lily up and left, but not before destroying my laptop and keying my car. The smear campaign started immediately. Facebook posts about her abusive sister who threw a single mother and child out in the middle of the night. Group texts to our extended family about my cruelty. Messages to my friends explaining how I'd abandoned her in her hour of need. She even contacted my employer, claiming I was mentally unstable and shouldn't be trusted with client work. I could have fought back. I had years of bank records showing the thousands I'd given her. Text messages documenting her lies. Witnesses to her behavior. But I didn't. Because I finally understood that engaging with her drama, even to defend myself, was just another form of enabling. She needed the conflict, the attention, the narrative of victimhood. My silence was the only boundary that mattered. Some people believed her. I lost friends who couldn't imagine sweet, struggling Amber being manipulative. Family members who'd always seen me as the responsible one now labeled me selfish. My aunt told me I should be ashamed. My uncle said my parents would be horrified. But here's what they didn't see. My migraines stopped. My insomnia faded. My bank account, no longer drained monthly, started growing again. I finished my house purchase and painted every room colors Amber would have hated. I started dating someone who didn't think love meant endless sacrifice. I remembered what it felt like to exist without crisis. The guilt didn't vanish overnight. I'd wake up wondering if Lily had enough to eat, if Amber had found somewhere safe to stay. The urge to check on them, to rescue them one more time, was overwhelming. But my therapist reminded me of airplane safety instructions. Put your own oxygen mask on first. But what if something really bad happens to them? I asked during one particularly hard session. Then Amber will have to figure it out like every other adult, she replied. Or she'll find another enabler. But either way, it can't be you anymore. You can't save someone who's actively trying to drown you. It's been a year since that night. I know through mutual acquaintances that Amber and Lily are living with her new boyfriend, a man she met 2 weeks after leaving my house, which suggests she had an exit plan all along. She's told everyone he's Lily's real father figure, the provider I never was. She's pregnant again, posting about how this baby will have the family she never did. I've been erased from their narrative except as the villain origin story. The sister who abandoned them. The aunt who chose money over blood. The family member who broke sacred bonds for selfish reasons. Let them tell it that way. I know the truth. I know the bank statements, the sleepless nights, the sacrificed dreams, the decade and a half of pouring myself empty for someone who saw me as nothing more than a resource. I know what love looks like, and it isn't emptying yourself until there's nothing left. Sometimes I see kids who look like Lily at the park, and my heart clenches. I love my niece, still do. But I couldn't let loving her mean destroying myself. Maybe someday, when she's older, she'll find me. Maybe she'll want to know my side. Or maybe she'll believe her mother's version forever. I've had to make peace with both possibilities. The extended family has mostly chosen sides. Team Amber gets the drama, the constant crises, the GoFundMe campaigns, the emotional Facebook posts. Team Jenna gets quiet, peace, boundaries, a life lived without constant manipulation. I know which one I prefer. But she's family remains the refrain from those who think DNA demands endless tolerance for toxicity. As if sharing genetics means accepting abuse. As if love means having no limits. As if family bonds should be chains rather than choices. Here's what I've learned. Some people will take everything you give and demand more. They'll weaponize your love, monetize your guilt, and traumatize you for the crime of having boundaries. They'll rewrite history to make themselves the hero and you the villain. They'll punish you for the sin of self-preservation. Walking away from Amber wasn't just about money, though financial abuse is real and devastating. It was about recognizing that I'd been assigned a role in her life, eternal savior, perpetual wallet, convenient scapegoat, and deciding I wanted to be a whole person instead. It was about understanding that enabling isn't love, that sacrifice without reciprocity is just slow suicide, that some relationships are too toxic to save. The guilt still visits sometimes, especially around holidays or Lily's birthday. But it's quieter now, more like an echo than a scream. I've built a life that isn't perfect but is mine. Peaceful, stable, free from manufactured crises. I have friends who reciprocate support. I have savings that stay saved. I have dreams that get to be more than just wishes squeezed between other people's emergencies. They say I walked away from family. But I walked towards something better, self-respect, mental health, a life where love doesn't require self-destruction. And if that makes me the villain in Amber's story, I've learned to live with that. Because I'm finally the hero in mine. Sometimes the hardest boundary to set is the one that saves your life. Sometimes the cruelest thing you can do is continue enabling someone's refusal to grow. Sometimes walking away is the ultimate act of love. For them, for yourself, for the future you both deserve but can't build together. I don't know where Amber and Lily are today, if they're happy, if they're healthy, if they ever think of me with anything but anger. But I know where I am, free, healing, and finally understanding that protecting someone doesn't mean drowning alongside them. 7-year-old me promised to protect baby Amber. 37-year-old me finally learned that protection doesn't mean destruction, that love has limits, and that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let someone learn to save themselves. Even if they hate you for it. Especially then.